So, welcome back to Talkin Shop. It's been like 3 months since we last recorded one of these.
Yeah, we had to take some time off for personal reasons, but we are back. We know you missed us, and we missed you too.
Yeah, hopefully we didn't lose our small fan base we built up.
Dude, all the best YouTubers go away for a while. Like, JonTron disappears for
That's true. He was
6 months at a time.
Like 8-9 months at a time. I think there was one point where like he was just...
It was like a
gone
year.
for a whole year.
Yeah. Yeah, just compared to us to JonTron.
And now he's married.
He is.
So good for him.
Yeah,
His wife's
good for him, man. Dude, if you're JonTron levels of famous, you don't got an ugly wife. Like
That's true. I didn't even think about that.
Speaking of, like, not JonTron specifically, but, like, this is gonna sound meaner than intended, but, like, I just turned 28 about 2 days ago.
Right.
Halloween, baby. And I just realized, like, in about 10 years, there's going to be an entire generation of parents that just grew up on, like, shitty internet memes and like, shit posts and, like, Filthy Frank. Like, there's a generation of dads that grew up on Filthy Frank coming. Like, there's just welcome to the rice fields.
I'm gonna burst into my kid's room someday with like a lemon hat, just going, "I'm 11." Like, no, honestly, it's gonna freak me out that in like 40 years, give or take, we're gonna be the boomers of our generation, and we're gonna be making like dated references and memes that our grandkids won't understand, and they'll just be like, "Yeah, okay, millennial."
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't want to handle the idea that I could just look at my grandkids and go, yeah, you know, back in the day, we actually used to go outside and play. Ugh. Like, we used to talk to our friends on the phone. And now, we weren't able to text them.
And now kids are going to be in, like...
You had to yell at your mom to get off the phone so you could play WoW.
I was a RuneScape pleb.
I was neither. I didn't get into MMOs until The Old Republic.
That's a good one to get into.
Oh, it's super good. It's so good.
Speaking of which... Disney has confirmed that they're starting Knights of the Old Republic Star Wars. It's going to be based 200 years before the Phantom Menace.
I know about the High Republic. That's the one with like the younger Yoda and everything like that, and it's like the Jedi in their heyday.
Yeah, they said you'll see the Jedi in their prime.
I saw this super dope piece of concept art from one of the Jedi Masters where he has a crossguard saber, but the way it works is the blade ignites, and then the crossguard hilts pop out from the side, and they have like little like lightsaber bars. So it has like this very like regal, almost Excalibur-ish look.
Nice.
And it's all like gold and silver plated, and like, oh, it's beautiful.
Oh my god.
And I'm really excited for that because I don't know if High Republic is going to be a comic series. I think it's a comic. Or it's going to be one.
Should be.
It should be, because at this point they're going strong enough with The Mandalorian, which...
Season 2 just came out.
Yeah, the first episode just came out. That was super good.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Actually, I've seen the first episode of the first season, and that's it.
You didn't even finish season 1?
No, because my boss invited me to his house. He's like, hey, do you want a day drink and bring pizza to skate park kids? Because his house is right next to a brand new skate park that just opened.
Okay.
And he's just a really nice guy. He's like, yeah, I was going to fire up my pizza oven, and I was just going to make 5 or 6 pizzas for these kids to eat just to be a nice person.
I mean,
I'm like,
fuck it.
But we're also going to day drink. I'm like, yeah, sure.
I say, what fucking skater kid is going to say no to free pizza?
But we cook the pizzas, we slice them up, we put them on the tray, and we're walking through woods with a tray of pizza in my hands, and we're like halfway there, and his name's Wes, and he's like, he doesn't turn to look at me or anything, just stays straight ahead. He's like, is this a good idea? I'm like, well,
he's bringing really good smelling food through the woods. I'm like, wolves can smell shit up to like 10 miles.
I'm like, we're 2 dudes walking out of the woods with a tray of pizza in the middle of a pandemic.
You're pizza dryads.
Yeah.
You emerge from the woods with gifts for children.
Yeah.
Without like trying to lure them back in.
Compass. Yeah, and so we go up and there's like 30 kids at this park,
Ooh.
ranging from like 6 years old to like 20 somethings.
Right.
So I put the pizza on one of the benches. And my boss just goes, "Yo, what up, everybody? We're 2 local chefs from the area. Free pizza." And like the 20-something-year-olds didn't, but everybody from 6 to like 16 just bum rushed the pizza.
And then, skater kids love pizza. They love free pizza.
And then we just turned around and walked back into the woods from whence we came.
It's like that clip of The Simpsons where Homer's walking back into the hedge.
Yeah.
Like from just...
Yeah. I'm just trying to picture if there was any stories that night of like, "Mommy, today at the skate park, 2 men came out of the woods and gave us food." What?
Oh. So, in the 3 months that we haven't done this, there have been a lot of new developments in a lot of areas of pop culture.
Some good, some bad.
Some of it good, some of it bad. Like the 2 biggest celebrity deaths we've had in the past 3 months have been Chadwick Boseman, which fucking shocked me, and Sean Connery just recently, as of recording this. He died like 2 days ago.
On my birthday.
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah, God, that sucks.
Dude, I woke up, I was like, it's my birthday, I'm 28, it's also Halloween, I'm gonna have a great
the first
day.
thing you saw
I
was a
opened
news
Facebook, legendary actor Sir Sean Connery, dead at 90. I'm like, it's gonna be that kind of fucking day.
It was my last day of vacation too.
But he was 90,
He was.
You know, it's not.
I did see you know the old like Mortal Kombat games, how when you go to the arcade mode there's like the ladder tiers.
Yeah.
There's a new picture of Betty White like rising up through the tiers, and just below just above Sean Connery's Barbara Walters and Queen Elizabeth.
Oh my lord.
So now it's just a race to see which one dies first.
No.
I'm expecting Barbara Walters to die before Betty White.
Betty White can never die. She is good incarnate.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I wouldn't say she's the last living Golden Girl, is she?
yeah, by a bit.
Really?
She was the oldest one on the show, and she's the only one that's still alive. The rest died a long time ago.
Well, because I know B. Arthur died in 2009.
B. Arthur died in 2009. Sophia died not long after the show ended.
Oh, fuck.
And Rose, the one who played Rose,
Yeah.
I unfortunately cannot remember her name. She died right before B. Arthur did. So
Fuck.
she is, by a long shot,
The last living
Golden Girl.
Jesus, that's unfortunate.
Dude, she's so funny. Her social media, because there was a post going around, and it's like interesting facts, and they said, a lot of people think that Mr. Rogers inviting the black police officer to dip his feet in the pool with him was the first breach of color.
No, but there was a
Betty
show
White
was
did
on.
it first.
Yeah, she
in
brought
the
on like
50s.
a black tap dancer.
A black tap dancer and danced with him, and they said, if you show this segment, we're going to pull your show.
She's like, do it.
And she said, tough shit. And so they pulled her show. And somebody was like, yo, I can't believe that Betty White, like, gave up a well-paying show, blah, blah, blah. And she retweeted it. And she wrote, well, I'm a badass bitch.
Betty White's the cool grandma I think everybody wishes they had.
Betty White is the world's grandma.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Fucking...
But to backtrack to Chadwick, like, nobody knew he had cancer.
No.
Nobody.
He went 4 years hiding that he had terminal cancer and went on to do Captain America, of 2 Avengers movies, his own solo movie with Black Panther, Get On Up, 42. Like, he did so many movies.
And he did the movies in between chemo rounds.
Yeah.
And it's like, God damn.
Yeah, no, it's fucking tragic. And it's a shame, too. He was only, like, in his early 40s, I think. Like, I think he was actually 40 when he passed. And that it just sucks. And, like, I know for a while after that, once comic books started circulating again and everything started to kind of go back to some sense of normalcy, Marvel started releasing a whole new series of covers for a lot of their single issues commemorating Chadwick Boseman. So you get the really cool comic art.
43.
In a 43, okay. But yeah, you get like the cool like cover art of the single issues, but above that is a black border with 2 Black Panther heads, and it says I think it actually says "Rest in Power, Chadwick Boseman,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough, man. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, now they're gonna have, not just the ripple of what the next round of movies is gonna have to do, but also, I mean, he was a main. I saw a great.
See, my biggest hope is that if they were include Wakanda into the MCU after this point, I do want them to make Shuri the next Black Panther. Because she was Black Panther in the comics for a long time.
Disney confirmed that she will be.
Good.
Because
Although,
she should be.
The way they should do it, because it'll make sense given the Black Panther film, is that there's no more the purple-hearted herb flowers or whatever. So Shuri should be a Black Panther that's more tech-oriented. I think that'd be a really interesting spin on this idea of spiritualism meeting technology.
Well, wasn't she the one who literally, ran a diagnostics on Vision that had, billions of files that she needed to, find?
Yeah, they were like, wait, no, you can't do that. She's like, yeah, fucking watch me.
Yeah, I can't. There's billions of files, then stop talking, so I can. But, yeah, I saw a great video of him. It was after he won for 42.
Right.
And he was at the Screen Actors Guild. And, he did his speech where he thanked his parents and his family. And then he gave a massive shout out to Denzel Washington. And he said, I grew up watching you. And
there's a great clip later on of Denzel in a talk show.
Denzel paid for Chadwick to go to college.
Yeah.
And I'm just like...
Look, Denzel Washington's probably a really cool dude. I haven't heard anything bad from any co-stars about Denzel. I've heard tons of horrible shit about Wesley Snipes.
Well,
oh my god,
it's Wesley Snipes.
Did you hear about some of the behind-the-scenes shit for Blade Trinity?
All I know about Wesley Snipes is tax shit. So and stuff like that.
Okay, so when they were making Blade Trinity, David S. Goyer, who wrote the first two movies but didn't direct them, ended up taking directing responsibilities for himself, and for a lot of first-time writer-directors, that's not a good idea, unless you're Francis Ford Coppola or Stanley Kubrick or something. Unless you're this powerhouse, icon of cinema, you shouldn't be doing that, and especially if your name is David S. fucking Goyer. But Wesley Snipes apparently hated Goyer. He fucking despised him to the point that he almost choked him out on set one day. Most of the long take shots where Wesley Snipes' face isn't directly on camera is actually a stunt double.
Wow.
Which really sucks. And for one scene at the end of the movie, he actually refused to open his eyes for the scene to have that stinner of, oh, Blade's alive at the end of the movie, yay! So they CGI'd his eyes opening, and it looks fucking terrible. He hated Ryan Reynolds.
Okay. Whoa. Two things. One, I understand that sometimes a director / producer and the head talent just won't get along. I do get that. Because it's two major personalities trying to work out.
Yeah, they're clashing with each other. But the vision doesn't exactly come out.
How petty of an asshole do you have to be to not open your eyes?
Oh, this isn't even the worst part, right?
Wesley, open your eyes. Nah, man.
So it reached a point where it was so bad that Wesley Snipes just refused to come out of his trailer unless they were doing close-up shots of his face. So all he would do all day is just get stoned out of his fucking mind in his trailer, and he would write post-it notes to Goyer and the rest of the team signed as Blade. so he'd probably write a post-it note like Dear David, I need more cheese poofs, Blade, or something. And then he got arrested for tax evasion.
But so I'm gonna say something kind of crappy. When you said he hated Ryan Reynolds, I love Ryan. I'm not married, but if I was, I would leave my wife for Ryan Reynolds.
I like Ryan Reynolds to a point. When he improvs way too much, that's when I don't like him.
I get the feeling that at one point he may have been very easily hateable.
Well, I think Blade Trinity was a couple years after he did Van Wilder.
Yeah.
So it was right in that heyday of, let's let Ryan Reynolds just improv all of his comedy and, like, see where it goes from there. And in the case of Deadpool, it works. Because Deadpool's the kind of character that can do shit like that. But, and, Van Wilder's also an exception. He's really funny in that movie. He is insufferable in Blade Trinity. He is so bad in that movie.
He was also insufferable in Wolverine Origins.
Well, that's not his fault, though. That's the studio. That's the studio's fault.
Well, when do you draw that line of it's the studio's fault and it's the actor's fault? Because there have been
fucking up the character of Deadpool.
Because
like physically, not character-wise, but physically, like at the end of the movie, that's the studio tampering.
No mouth,
Baraka blades.
Yeah.
Cyclops eyes for whatever reason. Like the beam eyes.
The beam eyes. They gave him the short-term teleport when they didn't give it to Deadpool, though.
Which is so fucking stupid because, like, here's the thing. Teleportation isn't one of his powers. It's a tool
gadget
he has on his belt.
It's a gadget.
He doesn't even use it anymore.
No.
He stopped using it after I think after his solo miniseries after X Factor, back in the 90s.
Well,
which I have like the first 3 issues of.
Well, what I meant with when do you blame the actor and when do you blame the heads is like, just to harken back to a point I made a couple episodes ago, Rose in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Everybody hates her, but they went after the actress when they really should have gone after the writers.
Yeah. And, like, the biggest thing is that you can actually make that as a really good connection between studio tampering in the right way and studio tampering in the wrong way. So, like, after the test footage for Deadpool came out and everyone fucking loved it, Fox went, okay, sure, greenlight the movie. Go on ahead, we'll give you full creative control. And for as much as he tried, I will commend Rian Johnson for trying to create a new character that takes on a very anti-war stance while still being in the middle of a war. That's really clever and creative.
Yeah.
However, because the character was so disliked because of her connection with Finn and that whole side story in the movie and everything, J.J. Abrams just went, oh boy, they really didn't like this character. Let's just give her, like, 2 lines?
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of, like, shove her off into the side for some of the ensemble shots. And it's like, no! Just make her a better character!
So, apparently, one of the updates since we've last recorded is Daisy Ridley has had a very hard time finding roles because of because of the movies.
John Boyega's been very vocal about his...
John Boyega has gone full fuck Star Wars. Like, he's like, he's like, they had an idea of what they were going to do with Daisy. They had an idea of what they were going to do with Poe and even Rose. They didn't know fuck all of what they were going to do with Finn.
Right, because, like, the whole thing behind that was because, like, your movie isn't going to be super profitable in a lot of overseas markets, and especially China, if one of your leads is a black actor. So a lot of the promotional material for The Force Awakens completely omitted Finn from all of the posters and any sort of publicity shots were of other characters instead of him and like all that stuff. So like I personally loved Finn's story arc in The Force Awakens, and I would have loved to see how they could have made that better, but essentially what they did was they just wrote themselves into a hole, because how do you make this character who's gone through a whole arc go through an even bigger arc over 2 more movies? So they just gave him the same arc for 3 movies. Like, he's back to square one in The Last Jedi, and has to be told that war is bad when he was a child soldier. He knows war is bad.
Yeah.
He defected from the First Order. Mm-hmm. Why is somebody else telling him that? Like, there's a channel on YouTube called the Cosmonaut Variety Hour. The guy who runs it is a guy named Marcus. He's a really, really smart guy, and he goes like really in depth with explaining a lot of stuff, and especially what went wrong with the sequel trilogy. And one of the things that I remember him saying was that it would have been a lot more powerful for that anti-war message if they had given Rose a different duty in the movie and had made Finn and Poe go to Canto Bight. Because Poe is just this daredevil ace pilot. He thinks war is all fun because he gets to blow shit up. but he should see the darker impact that war has for everybody. And it would have been a lot more powerful if Finn was that person to give Poe that wake-up call.
Not just us, but I'm part of quite a few Star Wars groups and stuff because I'm a nerd. And there are people who rewrite all of the sequel trilogy, and they have, presumably neckbeards who live in their mom's basement are writing more solid movies than Hollywood people. They're like, change this, change that, have Poe do this, and have Rose do that. And they're solid.
Yeah.
But
But that's the problem, is that, especially with Disney, now that they own a lot of really successful brands, like they own Star Wars, they own Marvel, they own the Muppets,
they own everything.
They own Fox,
they own everything.
Like
they own ABC, they own
they own all of this stuff, and their easy way to do it, except for Marvel, because they've realized how much of a winning formula that is this has like the Star Wars label on it. Just make something and put it out. People will go see it. It'll be fine.
And we do. Which is the crappy part.
Like, the only exceptions I can really think of right off the bat are the final season of Clone Wars, when that came out, because that was pretty solid, actually. There's like 2 or 3 episodes in the middle of the season that kind of drag a little bit, but once you get past those 2 or 3 episodes, it just goes full fucking tilt. Like, the last 5 episodes of season 7 are the best episodes in the entire series. By far. And, like, Clone Wars was fucking great. Mandalorian has been really good so far. Because, like, they didn't have a lot of corporate meddling. They were just like, hey, we want to tell this story after the events of Return of the Jedi. We're going to create a whole new character. We're going to create a whole new environment for him to interact with. And this is going to be his story. This is where we're going to go with it. And everyone's like, cool.
Yeah.
Great. Go on ahead. And now I feel really bad for Pedro Pascal, because him and Adam Driver are just carrying Star Wars the entire way through. Adam Driver was the only solid part of that whole trilogy as Kylo Ren.
Yeah, he was.
He was the best part.
I mean, Hamill, in the shitty role he was given, did the best he could. Harrison did the best he could. Leia did, I call Carrie Fisher Leia. I
think out of the original trio, I think Harrison Ford was the most faithful to his character. And that,
it's easy to not give a shit when you've always not given a shit.
Him and Carrie Fisher, he
wanted to die in episode 5.
Yeah, they're both very faithful to their roles, because it's just so easy to write those roles. However, I'm still a firm defender that Luke's character arc in The Last Jedi was needed. Because
I disagree.
I don't think it would have been any more powerful if Luke was just this unbeatable god of a man.
Okay, here's the thing.
After 30 years.
Here's the thing. I don't want him necessarily. Like, Yoda was not what he was. He was this frail, kind of psychotic man who was...
Well, Dagobah's surrounded by Dark Force energy.
So he's this beacon of light side energy on a planet that is
actively fighting against
his antithesis for 20 years by himself. I get that. And I understand why Luke felt the need to exile himself. I don't want him to be badass Rambo, destroying entire legions by himself. But they didn't have to do him like they didn't have to do him dirty like they did. I mean, he just...
If they had written his motivation to shut himself off from the Force a little better than, I'm going to kill my nephew because I saw a premonition and I'm going to act on that, then I would understand. Because Luke honestly should have learned his lesson after Empire about following premonitions. Because it led to him getting his fucking hand cut off.
Yeah, like I said before, Vader blows up a planet. He tortures and kills millions of people by the end of the war. Millions, because he blows up a planet.
Yeah.
And at the end of all that, Luke's like, there's still good in him. I can bring him back from that.
And he goes for a brief moment.
And Ben Solo had a fucking nightmare, and he tries to kill him that night. It's like, What are you doing?
I say that, but like at the same time, it probably is better explained in the comics that take place like before and between all the movies. But like, if I have to read supplementary material in between movies in order to fully understand character motivations and how everything's supposed to work, that's not good story writing. Supplementary material.
You, Dark Tower.
Yes. No, Dark Tower is a whole other can of worms. Because you don't need... Because you know what the supplementary material for that movie is?
Like
the entire fucking book series.
I was going to say, like, 5 books.
7.
Oh, I'm sorry, 7.
8 if you include Wind Through the Keyhole. Which is meant to be more
Putting
4.
one book
5.
into a movie is hard, let alone 8.
Well, that's the thing. When I read it, when I read about it, apparently the Dark Tower movie is meant to be a pseudo-adaptation of The Gunslinger, which is the first book in the series. Mm-hmm. But it's also meant to be a sequel to the entire book series. Because the entire point is that, like, it's kept very ambiguous how many times Roland has actually made the journey to the tower. Every time he's made the journey, it resets him, and he doesn't know why, and he doesn't know why it keeps happening. He just knows that at this point, his singular purpose is to go to the tower and save the world. And he kind of ends up doing it by the end of book 7. So why the fuck is he on another trip around to the tower? And here's the thing. Every trip to the tower, something different has always happened. So, like, it can make up for a lot of things. You know, maybe a certain character that died in a previous trip to the tower is alive this time around, and maybe they stick with him for a bit. That kind of thing. I actually got really excited because in some of the supplementary material, Roland has the Horn of Eld, which is a family heirloom of his that he got back in book 5. Which was super cool. And I was like, oh, sweet, it's a continuation. That explains why he's black now. But, like, that movie just has so many fucking problems with it. And I hate it. I hate it so much. Because, like, again, I know I said this in a previous episode, but, like, I don't hate Idris Elba. I think Idris Elba's an amazing actor.
He was fun.
He's super good. He's a really good actor. He's not Roland, though.
What'd you think of Matthew McConaughey as Randall?
I thought he was good. I thought as Randall Flagg, as the Man in Black, I thought Matthew McConaughey was pretty good.
Because if he
got rid of his southern accent a little bit and made it a little more.
Well, people are gonna be like, "Oh, it's the Man in Black," so he's gonna be like evil and broody, and he's gonna be like sinister. And it's all right.
I think what they're expecting is how Walter is shown off in the books and in the comics, which is this very like tall, kind of thin, like a more athletic built kind of guy with like shaggy black hair and a goatee. Yeah. And that's what they're expecting. And most of the time that's what I would expect too. But Matthew McConaughey has that graveliness to his voice that can make the character sound really good. Mm. Like in the original plan my dad and I had when we were like talking about how would they adapt the Dark Tower? The best way I could see them doing it is an animated series.
Yeah.
Because the idea is that time pretty much has little to no meaning in Roland's world. Like, time obviously exists, but people can live hundreds of years. Like, they can live a long time. And when you pull somebody out of their reality into Roland's world, that starts to affect them.
I mean, Randall, who's basically evil incarnate, is fucking old.
Oh yeah, he's super old. But like, how, like in the Gunslinger specifically, and later on in the drawing of 3, Jake is the same age in both books. However, both books take place like months apart from each other, give or take. So how would you be able to keep Jake that young through 7 books? You can't hire a new actor every time, and you can't just de-age the actor every single year hoping nobody will notice. So you make it animated, and you just hire actors who are really good at voice acting. Like, I'm firmly in the camp that Carl Urban would be a really good Roland. I think, like, did you see, like, Dredd or
Judge Dredd?
fuck, like, The Boys or anything?
No.
Oh, he's really, really good in The Boys.
Don't dog the boys.
The Boys is a really good show. It's a lot better than the comic.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, Carl Urban.
Yeah, that guy.
He was also Faramir in Lord of the Rings.
It was Thor Ragnarok because he was the behold my stuff.
My stuff.
He was that guy.
Yeah, when he played Judge Dredd in the 2012 Dredd movie, he was really fucking good as Dredd. He's actually a firm advocate for making a sequel for that movie, even though it's been 8 years. And I'm in that camp with him. I'm like, yeah, Dredd was really good. Make more of that, please.
Well, nobody has an original idea anymore, so they're just remaking and making sequels of everything.
Yeah, that's true. You do see a much more continuous trend of adaptations and remakes and sequels in today's cinematic landscape, but there are some pretty original stories here and there. Like Moonlight, fucking fantastic. La La Land's fucking fantastic.
La La Land's fantastic. I mean, I know Disney is on a serious remake kick right now, but Moana, incredible.
Moana was good.
Coco.
Oh,
I loved Coco.
Coco made me cry.
It made me cry too.
It made me cry so hard.
Coco was immaculate.
Coco was great. Tangled.
I never saw Tangled. Princess and the Frog was great.
That is such a good movie, and it's part of the reason why 2D animation is dead at Disney. because now that CG movies were really popular at the time with fucking Toy Story and Shrek and Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. They were like, ew. They were like, ew, 2D animation? That's gross. Where's the 3D models? And Princess and the Frog fucking tanked.
Okay. Favorite Disney movie of all time? Go.
Hunchback.
Same. Fucking same.
It used to be Lion King when I was a kid, and I don't hate Lion King.
It was like a solid number 2 for me.
It's a solid, like, really good movie. It's still not... It's maybe in my top 5 favorite Disney films, but it's at, like, the bottom of the top 5. Because, like, Hunchback is my number 1, and it's been my number 1 for a long time.
Always has been for me, too.
So, like, I think it's Hunchback, Tangled, Princess and the Frog, Great Mouse Detective.
Hell yeah!
And then Lion King right below that.
Mine is obviously Hunchback at number 1, Lion King. Number 3 would probably have to... Oh, God, there's so many that I like, though. Little Mermaid.
Yeah, that's a good one.
You know, it's The Little Mermaid. I love it. Sleeping Beauty, I think, is up there.
That's a solid one.
Yeah.
As far as, like, the older Disney movies go, that's probably one of the better
A lot of my favorites are the older ones, because I've seen more of them.
Yeah, I had a lot of them on VHS when I was a kid.
And number 5 is a toss-up between Sword in the Stone and probably Coco.
Yeah. Oh, you know what?
Just Archimedes, the shitbird.
Making a top 5 of favorite Disney movies is really hard because, like, I have a lot of favorites.
Yeah.
That I could probably make, like, a top 10, top 15
easily.
List. But, like, I don't know what order I could put them all in because they're all really solid movies in one way or another.
You know,
like I love, like, Princess and the Frog is up there as one of my favorites just because of its art direction, the music choice, the subversion of the fairy tale tropes.
Yeah. The girl helps the guy instead of the guy helping the girl.
I think it's one of the better representations of minority groups in cinema just because they didn't make the main character black just to say, hey, look, we're diverse, we can make black main characters too. They were just like, yeah, it's New Orleans. She's black.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that. I love natural diversity. I don't love forced diversity.
Yeah. Coco knocked Pocahontas out of because there's a lot of Disney movies I have not seen. Like I haven't seen Tangled. I haven't seen Brave.
I'll say if we could just rank like the Disney Renaissance movies from Little Mermaid to Hercules, Pocahontas would be right at the bottom for me.
I mean, yeah.
I don't think it's a terrible movie. It's pretty solid, but like I don't think it's as good as the rest of the movies in the Renaissance era.
Hercules was the first movie I ever saw in theaters.
That movie came out the year I was born? No, it came out in 97, so I was
when they remake it, and it's not a matter of if, because at this point it's when.
Actually,
I want Danny DeVito.
It might not be a when possibility, because Mulan fucking tanked.
Yeah, Mulan tanked, but like Beauty and the Beast killed, you know, like
Cinderella did pretty well. I think the first Maleficent movie did really well. I heard next to nothing about the sequel.
The second one had sequelitis.
I fucking hate Maleficent with a passion. Because...
Even the original animated, you hate her?
Oh, no.
Because you're kind of supposed to.
You're supposed to, but here's the thing. Maleficent's one of my favorite Disney villains. Because she's just a bitch. She's just a total bitch the entire movie. She was like, oh, you guys didn't invite me to your kid's fucking...
She's just petty.
Birthday party or whatever. Like, fuck you guys. I'm gonna curse this whole kingdom. Eat shit.
Your kid's gonna commit suicide at 6.
Like, she was evil for the purpose of being evil, and she fucking loved it. And that is really good motivation, even if it's really simple motivation. But Maleficent, I fucking despise, because they decided to make the trope of, oh, what if we told the story from the villain's point of view and made you sympathize with her? Like, no! She's fucking Maleficent!
So on the related but completely flip side of that coin, that's one of the main reasons Hunchback is my favorite, because Frollo legitimately in his own mind thinks that he's the righteous guy.
He's the hero. Because he's the holy man. He's supposed to be this figurehead
he's
for
like,
everyone to come to in times of crisis.
He's a minister, and he's a head of the church, and he sees Esmeralda, and in the fucking 14 or 1500s, you know, lusting was and technically is still sin if you follow the book, and he's like, so rather than thinking, oh, I find her attractive, that's the devil's work, and if she marries me, then we can both still be pure and pious, but otherwise, that shit needs to go.
Also, let's be honest here. Like, they could not have picked a better actor to portray Judge Frollo than Tony Jay. Nobody can match Tony Jay's voice, and it's the kind of voice that anyone could get hard from listening.
Hell yes.
Like, women will cream themselves hearing him, and I kind of get hard every time I hear him.
Hellfire is probably my favorite Disney song of all time.
It is favorite. It's my favorite villain song, just above Friends on the Other Side.
Okay.
Because I'm a sucker for soul and jazz.
Lots of people dig
Friends on the Other Side is really good, and I love that one.
Okay. But, like,
Poor Unfortunate Souls is also up there somewhere.
But, that's true, it is. But, you know, like, when you listen to Hellfire, I mean, it opens with Beata Maria, which I looked it up, and that means, in French, it means...
Well, Latin.
Sorry, Latin, because they still spoke Latin fluently back then. Yeah. It's Latin for Holy Mary. He's praying.
Yeah, he's praying for salvation because he doesn't want his lust to overpower him.
You know... And he says, "It's not my fault. I'm not to blame.
It was the devil's work.
It was."
She made the devil's will so much stronger than my own.
Yeah, God made the devil's temptation stronger than my will. It's not my fault, and he's trying to be like, I'm the victim. And
I think that's something that modern Disney hasn't been able to nail properly is good villains most of the time. Because a lot of them have that perception of... A lot of them follow that same trend of, oh, I'm the good guy, and then they have the heel turn, and it's like, yeah, we fucking knew that.
Yeah, called it.
Like Hans from Frozen, fucking...
Was he
Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking Kristoff, sorry.
Like Hans, Ernesto, Mother Gothel never... had that I'm the good guy, oh, look at the heel turn. She's like, no, I'm evil and manipulative.
I love villains. The whole way through. I love villains that know they're evil.
Oh, yeah.
They just know it.
But, like, another one. Fucking Evelyn Dever from Incredibles 2. Like, she was one of them. And fucking... Like, that's a problem I've noticed a lot with modern Disney, is that they tend to take a softer approach with telling their stories and make it very predictable and very easy for kids to understand, because they don't think kids today will be able to understand harder concepts that were further explored in, like, the classics or the Dark Age or Renaissance or, like, any of the other eras of Disney. But when we were kids, we could understand that shit just fine. Like, it was no problem.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that classic Disney didn't have a lot of one-note villains either, because, like, they did. But a lot of the deeper villains had really good motivations and really good writing back up what they were trying to do.
Well, I DM Dungeons and Dragons, and so when I look up, like, a tip video from Matt Mercer or whoever, whether it's a writer, a D&D guy, or whoever, they say the best villains are ones that you can sympathize with. Yeah. Like, I get why you're doing... Like, Thanos.
Yeah.
I get why he was doing that.
In a way, Zemo as well, from, like, Civil War.
Like, in the grand scheme of things, he was doing humanity a favor.
Yeah, he thought what he was doing was right.
And
it makes it even better when you realize that in Endgame, he still doesn't regret what he's done. He's like, no, I gave the universe a better life and a better purpose. I saved you.
I watched my home world through overpopulation destroy itself, and I'm stopping all of creation from doing that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, no, that's a cause I could totally get behind. It's like, that's why a lot of people, like, get really attached to Loki. Because he had a really good villain motivation in the first Thor, and then he slowly started becoming more of like a neutral character throughout the rest of the Marvel universe up until Infinity War, when he fucking died. Like, by the end of Ragnarok, he's not so much a hero, but, like, he's still doing things for a better purpose. He's not as vengeful and angry as he used to be.
Well, I mean, even at the end of Ragnarok, before your savior is here and he shows up with the boat, when they were still
I think it was just meant for gloating purposes. I think he was just like,
I know, but when they were still on the junk planet, like, even then, he was still being a shitbird.
Oh, absolutely. Like, he doesn't outright hate Thor, but if he can fuck with him any chance he gets, like...
He turned into a snake, and he knows that I love snakes, so I picked it up to admire it, and then
he transformed back, and he was like, it's me! And then he stabbed me. But no, Loki's a really good villain motivation. Ultron wasn't. I'm still so angry with Age of Ultron.
So I
hate that fucking movie.
I never saw
much.
Age of Ultron. Wasn't Ultron built by Tony to be, like, the defender of Earth, and it just went wrong?
So the way they explain it in the movie is that Tony managed to find a way to make an AI out of the Mind Stone.
Before Vision.
And that AI realized that the world was actually more dangerous because humanity was allowed to exist still. So his main solution to being able to create a better world and protect the world was to erase humanity.
Because it was the world, not humanity.
Peace in our time. Peace in our time means no humans. That's a really good motivation, sure. The problem is everything else about that movie, because if you don't give Joss Whedon some kind of leash that you can, like, tug a little bit, he's gonna make a really jokey, quippy movie. And it might work in the case of something like Firefly or Serenity or Buffy. Like, in that case, fine, going ahead, but not an Avengers movie. Not everybody has to be jokey and quippy in your movie in order for you to get the laughs. You know who should be jokey and quippy in that whole cast? Iron Man, Banner, Hawkeye. That's it. Maybe Black Widow. That's it. Your main villain, a
Star-Lord,
merciless killing machine that wants to eradicate humanity, should not be joking the entire time. And that's, like, there's a lot of things about that movie I can't fucking stand. Like, I don't like I don't like Ultron's design throughout the whole movie as he keeps evolving, because they keep the mouth part and they keep it moving so that way it gives him some sort of humanity, right?
Yeah.
No, he shouldn't have humanity. He's a fucking evil killing machine. Make him this horrible looking drone monster. There's a piece of concept art that kept his static like red eyes and the big jack-o'-lantern grin from the comics, but his final form was gonna have like 6 fucking arms. Like, he looked like some demented Vishnu or something. That would have been fucking cool. That would have been so cool. And they didn't do it. And it pisses me off. Because Ultron's such a cool character. And he only gets better in the comics, too. Because there was one point where Ultron came back to Earth to try and take it over again. And in order to stop him, Vision merged Hank Pym and Ultron together, so father and son were together, and he just blasted off into space again trying to grapple his new sense of humanity. And then he comes back in Civil War 2, and he's so cool. He's so fucking cool. How could you ruin Ultron?
Take notes. Oh,
I hate it.
The pain is real.
And it makes me scared to see how they're going to tackle bigger villains than Thanos in later Marvel movies. Cause, like,
I mean, the only one I can really pinpoint is Galactus.
That is what a lot of people think it's going to lead up to. And I think that'd be really cool.
A dude big enough to literally eat planets.
But you should also save that for maybe Phase 5? Phase 6?
Well, that's the thing. How big are the phases going to get?
That is a good question. I mean, they're getting rid of a lot of characters or moving them into TV series that are interconnected with the universe, like WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yep.
She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, and Moon Knight all have TV shows coming out. So, like, you're going to have that bit of an interconnected universe, but then you're also going to have the new Avengers team, which I actually did look up once. Because I was curious about it.
Well, the new Avengers, I mean, Iron Man's dead. Thor's fucked off.
Yeah.
So I imagine the new Avengers would be probably Falcon, or the new Cap, at least.
Yeah, I think Bucky and Sam are both going to be in it. War Machine's still in it.
Bucky, Sam, War Machine.
Captain Marvel's leading the team, I know that much. Spider-Man's in it.
Fantastic Four?
They might have one of the FF.
Give me Deadpool already! God damn it!
See, that's the thing. I keep hearing rumors about Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and like how that's gonna work. And like,
well, everybody's like, well, the Spider-Men are showing up.
Yeah, there's some fun little bits that have been confirmed. Like, they are in talks to get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield back. So that way they can have all 3 Spider-Men show up.
Tobey Maguire.
They're going to go into an alternate universe at one point where all of the Avengers are played by actors who were originally slated to play those characters. So Captain America was going to be played by John Krasinski. Black Widow was going to be played by Emily Blunt. And Iron Man was going to be played by Tom Cruise.
Oh, God.
And I think Hulk was going to be played by Matthew McConaughey.
Which, oh my God, no.
That's the thing I like about aliens. I get older, they still stay smashable. All right.
Hey man, are you here to surrender? Never. Be a lot cooler if you
did. Yeah, let's see.
I saw a fan-made thing. It said if the Avengers were made in the 90s, and guess who they got to be Bruce Banner?
Matthew McConaughey?
Jeff Goldblum.
Ooh, fuck.
Or, no, Tony Stark was Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, okay, so it's still a rumor at this point in time because they're probably not going to make a new Avengers movie until, like, near the end of Phase 4. But according to some sources, Captain Marvel will be leading the team. Lined up behind Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, She-Hulk, War Machine, Captain America, Sam Wilson, Shang-Chi, the second Black Widow, Yelena Belova, who's going to be in the new Solo movie, Shuri's Black Panther, and Wolverine.
Wolverine?
Yeah. I mean, I know eventually they're going to start reintroducing mutants into the MCU somehow. I'm still curious as to how they're going to do it. Because, like, there's very few ways I could see them going about it.
Well, it's canon that Spider-Man and Deadpool know each other.
Yeah.
They're like good friends, and then it said that they're good friends.
Reluctant. Spider-Man's more reluctant to be Deadpool's friend.
Okay, well, as far as Deadpool's concerned, they're best buds.
Yeah. But like
Deadpool breaks into his apartment, cleans it.
I was talking with my buddies about it, and we thought like the perfect way that you could explain mutants being in the MCU is that they've always been there. But and this is how you could feasibly have a character arc with Magneto and Professor X in a way that doesn't make them nonagenarians. Is like you could have it explained like in the Ultimate Universe where mutants were a byproduct of human experimentation that ended up being genetically passed on after a while, which would be really interesting. So what do? You keep it secret from the rest of the world. You lock them in a concentration camp in the South Pacific. Call it Krakoa. That's where the mutants live. So you could still have Magneto be a concentration camp survivor, but it won't have the same impact as him being a Jew in Nazi-occupied Germany. But, like, you could still have him retaliate against humanity because of the unfair treatment of mutants in their time in the concentration camp.
That's true.
Like, that kind of thing. And you could have, like, this...
Well, I mean, you kind of do what Deadpool 2 did, where, Flame Fist, he was, like, beaten and tortured by this guy in an attempt to cure him.
Yeah.
All that.
So, like that's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be, like, maybe... I don't know, they could be pulled over from Doctor Strange's little multiverse adventure. Like, just have them get thrust into the MCU that way or something. Like, you could do that. You can make it a byproduct of the snap.
That's what I thought they were going to do, because at the end of the movie, they were like, yeah, the snap caused portals to alternate realities to open.
Well, like, there is that possibility, but also, like, the only side effect we've seen from the snap is that half of the universe's population of everything
is 5 years younger.
Disappeared. It all just vanished.
Yeah.
But what if it wasn't the first snap that caused that change? What if it was the second snap that destroyed the stones, dissipating the energy throughout the universe? You can have a very in-canon explanation as to why Inhumans and mutants both exist, because they're both byproducts of the stones being vanished from existence, giving them free reign for all sorts of abilities throughout time and space. The snap couldn't just affect that current time point. It could affect every event, past and present. That would be so fucking cool. That'd be a really unique way to explain why mutants and Inhumans would exist in the MCU without having to just say, oh, they were here the whole time. And you could still get away with doing things like, I don't know, like, again, you'd have to change up certain things, like the fact that Professor X and Magneto were both born in the 30s. Like, we can't have two 90-year-olds fighting for a war to save humanity.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, you can't. They're old as fuck. With respect, it's Sir Alan McGuinness and whatnot, but when you say fighting, I think that means that, yeah, they shouldn't be, like, actively on the combat field, but have them around.
But people want to expect Magneto to go out on the front lines and, like, fuck dudes up.
Like, lift an entire bridge like he did.
Yeah, that's still one of the best scenes in that whole fucking movie, like, by far. But yeah, like, people would expect to be able to see shit like that. And you can't have that if your main villain is 90 fucking years old when we first meet him. That's not how that works. So, you could do the second snap idea, but also make it so mutants have been persecuted and hunted by humanity to the point that they find Krakoa, a mutant island. And they form their own society on that island, and it can further explain how mutants have managed to keep coming back, even though some of them are like 90 to 100 years old, give or take, because the way it works in the current X-Men comics is that Krakoa, with the help of this group called the Five, which are these mutants that singularly have pretty unique powers, but together can like fully resurrect people. So what they end up doing is anytime a mutant dies, like say, I don't know, let's say Cyclops dies on a mission or something like that, they can bring him back in this place they call the Hatchery, and then Professor X shows up and just implants his last known memories of that person into the husk that their body was, and bam, they're right back where they were. With no problems whatsoever. So you could use that for an explanation and be like, oh, Magneto's still around. Isn't he supposed to be like 90? Why does he look like he's in his 50s? That's weird. And then you find out, oh shit, Mutant Island. Like, that would be fucking cool. Marvel.
This is going to be...
Take notes.
Oh, man. That's going to be a major headache for, like, more casual fans. Because it's a headache and a half for me. But...
Yeah. Or, like, here's the thing. You could also use the second snap as a reason for the Fantastic Four getting their powers. Instead of cosmic rays bombarding them and giving them their powers that way, give them the powers through the snap. The shock wave that the second snap sends throughout the universe just hit them on their way through space and gave them powers. Fuck it.
Fuck it.
That would be so cool, and it'd be really unique. And, like, here's the thing. I'm a diehard super fan of a lot of comic books. Most of the time, I don't like when certain retcons are done to make characters feel more approachable, because I'm so used to the characters being as they are for like 10, 15, 20 years, with some exceptions. Certain retcons have actually been really good and beneficial for certain characters, like Batman. When the New 52 hit, Batman was one of the few characters that was actually almost virtually unchanged through the rewrite of the entire multiverse.
I mean,
through the New 52.
They completely deleted X-Men Last Stand. That movie never fucking happened as far as the now timeline goes.
That's also a huge problem with X-Men in general, is that it's really confusing for casual moviegoers as it is for diehard fans, because a lot of their adventures deal with alternate timelines and realities and all that shit, and like certain characters like Cable or Bishop or fucking X-Man, Legion, Rachel Grey, like all these characters come from different alternate timelines, and their main mission is to try and not fuck up the main timeline in order to make sure that their timeline exists. But here's the thing, all timelines exist at once, so it doesn't matter what they do, because it's not going to change anything. Somehow there's going to be a catalyst that's going to lead to their timeline, and then that's when they disappear, because they could stop that. And it's really fucking confusing, and that's the thing that Fox managed to get really well with those movies. Because, like, if you think about it, the main original series of X-Men movies goes in order, in chronological order: Origins, 1, 2, 3, Days of Future Past. However, First Class technically takes place in the Prime timeline, but it also takes place in the second timeline caused by Days of Future Past, which completely rewrites everything and erases X-Men Origins and X-Men 2 and 3. So now you have, but it also fucks some things up, because like now, thanks to Days of Future Past existing in both timelines, now you have an alternate timeline that goes First Class, Days of Future Past, Apocalypse, Dark Phoenix, X-Men. And then off in its own little pocket timeline, because it doesn't match any timeline, is Logan. And then further away from that is Deadpool, because they just don't exist in either timeline. But they somehow exist in both timelines. And it doesn't make sense. And comic books are fucking weird. And I love them. But my god, you have to have like a degree in quantum mechanics to figure out how this shit fucking works.
I'm sure you had absolutely no trouble following along wherever you're listening.
Like, I could create a visual diagram to show you how this shit works.
It'd be like that scene from Sunny with Charlie and like all the...
Carol!
all the newspapers and yarn. He's just...
All he sees is Pepe Sylvia! Pepe Sylvia! Like, yeah, I'm essentially Charlie from Always Sunny trying to figure out who the fuck Pepe Sylvia is. And then realizing it's Pennsylvania. This is what comic books do to you, man. Especially X-Men. My god. If anyone decides to read an X-Men story, they should read singular, like, stories that don't take place in any real sense of continuity, because then you won't get confused. It's why it's really easy to read Wolverine comics most of the time. Like, you could read those, you could read X-Men Noir, which is actually really good. I do recommend that one. You can read Days of Future Past without having to worry too much about knowing what characters are what, because everyone pretty much dies anyway.
Great.
Like, the way the Days of Future Past comic worked is that when the Sentinels started going for mutants, they ended up rounding up or killing all the mutants in the world. So they just ended up... So their new target just ended up being other metahumans. So, like, in the events of Days of Future Past, the Hulk is dead, Spider-Man's dead, the Fantastic Four are dead, most of the X-Men are dead, Moon Knight, Iron Man, Captain America, they're all gone. So, like, your main camp of survivors are Wolverine, Storm, I think, Kitty Pryde, Franklin Richards, Rachel Gray, who's Jean and Scott's daughter from that timeline, and all that shit. And even then, like, before Kitty's consciousness goes back in time, Wolverine fucking dies. Everybody fucking dies.
It sounds like a really happy story.
Oh, it's super fun. And then there was a secondary story called Days of Future Present. Turns out both stories were just in the mind of little baby Franklin Richards as alternate timelines. Because Franklin Richards is a nigh omnipotent super being mutant. Yeah, the son of Mr.
Sounds good to me.
The son of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman isn't a regular superhero. He's a fucking mutant. He has the X gene. And his powers are reality manipulation. He can warp reality to his whim. The problem is that every time he uses his powers, it ends up draining a little bit. So eventually, there would come a point where he just doesn't have his powers anymore. He's just completely human. But even then, in certain timelines, he's managed to reserve those powers to the point that he became best friends with Galactus, and they watched the universe implode together. And then just rebuilt the universe.
Welcome to comics.
Welcome
folks.
to comics. This shit is super fun. I'm
ripping chunks of hair out of my head.
I totally haven't gone insane from like 7 years of comic collecting. Nah, not at all. Fucking Pepe Sylvia.
Pepe Sylvia. You mean Pennsylvania? Shit. Oh man.
Oh, what else has gone on in the past couple of months?
Miles Morales is coming out soon.
Yep.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
10 days. 10 days for Miles Morales.
Yep.
Did you see the new reveal for the final suit they're putting in the game?
No.
They're giving him his Into the Spider-Verse suit. And there's a suit mod for it that changes his animation specifically to 24 frames per second. To make it look like the movie.
Wait, like the way too small suit or like the spray paint?
The spray painted suit.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, they're giving him that suit, and the suit mod is applicable to every suit in the game, but it slows down his frame rate specifically to 24 frames per second to give it the same feel of the animation from the movie.
Wow.
So it's going to look really jarring fighting these enemies at 60 frames per second when you're moving at less than half that speed.
I feel like when that game's come out, I'm not going to hear from you for a few weeks.
Oh, I'm. Depends on how big the game actually ends up being, because from what I've heard, it's going to be on the same level of like Uncharted Lost Legacy, so it's a side story. That's a pretty sizable side story, but it's not nearly as long as the main game itself, like that kind of thing.
Okay.
But like I'm really excited for that game because like Tinkerer's the main villain, who's a woman now, which I could care less about. I'm just really happy Tinkerer's a villain in the game, which is fucking great. They did release a set of promo art for other villains, and the Prowler's gonna be in there.
Ooh.
Yeah, it looks like he's wearing a repurposed Shocker helmet. Like, do you remember what Shocker looked like in Spider-Man PS4? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you remember his helmet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the same helmet.
Okay.
It's just repurposed. So, like, he's working for Tinkerer, obviously. But who else could be working for Tinkerer in the cast of villains? Because Rhino makes an appearance somewhere, but is he working with Tinkerer? Who knows? They've kept it really hush-hush. And I like that. It gives that sense of mystery to it. Like, who is this chick? What's her purpose? What's her goal? Why are all these other tech-based villains working with her? That's fucking great. I love that. And, like, I remember watching the fucking E3 reveal for, like, the main game. Or, like, not the E3, the Sony Showcase reveal for how it would look on PS5. And I remember seeing, like, you can use his stealth camo in active combat and like sneak behind enemies. A lot of his abilities are dependent on his Venom Blast. He's a lot more fluid than Peter. Like he's a lot more springy and like stretchy, which is pretty cool. And the music behind the game has a very hip hop infused beat to it,
nice.
Which I think is fucking phenomenal. I think that's top notch.
There you go.
So, like, I'm excited for Miles Morales. I'm not going to get it on PS5 just because I don't have the money right now to afford $600 worth of console and game.
Yeah.
But I am going to get it on PS4.
Yeah, me too.
And then when I get a PS5, I think that's one of the games that gets an automatic free upgrade.
Yeah.
So I'll just have it when I get my PS5. And I can just beat it again.
I'm getting ready for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. People won't hear from me for a while.
Valhalla is pretty fun. Cyberpunk got delayed again.
Again, and people are sending the developers death threats and shit.
It's like, look, I would rather than delay the game as much as possible to make sure everything runs as perfectly as possible across all systems than to have two versions of a game be jank as shit and not run properly compared to current gen hardware.
Well, that's what one of the...
because I heard the main problem was current gen hardware is having the tougher time running the game than next gen with PS5 and Series X. And like, you know what? If you're going to delay another 3 weeks to fix all the bugs and try and make sure everything works on my PS4 that's 5 fucking years old, fine. Great.
Yeah.
You know what?
People are acting like it's been delayed 3 years or some shit.
Yeah,
it's
right?
like, and they're like...
Look, it's not Mighty Number 9, guys.
I forget if they're like the new executive or whatever, but they came out, they're like, we delayed the game so that we can make it better for you guys, and you're sending the developers death threats and shit.
Oh, it's like, fucking great, though.
Up.
Fucking Arc System Works. They're currently working on their latest Guilty Gear title. That's coming out next spring. And when CD Projekt Red put up their notice for delaying the game again, they had it on a yellow background, and there was all like the cyberpunk imagery and shit.
Yeah.
ArcSys took that template, added the Guilty Gear logo behind it, and went, hey guys, the game's not delayed. We just wanted to jump in on this. And that's all it said. And I was like, you fuckers. I didn't want to pre-order Guilty Gear because I wanted to wait for the next version, but like, fuck, I might have to pre-order Guilty Gear now.
A game that I've been waiting for that has been delayed over and over and over again, Vampire the Masquerade 2, Bloodlines.
Wait, they're actually making that?
Yeah,
because I know the previous Vampire game did really well.
Yeah, they released like 25 minutes of gameplay or something like that.
Ooh.
But they also the executive producer and the co-producer both were fired for reasons that aren't public. And they're like, oh, yeah, they've left the project. But on Twitter, the executive producer and the co-executive producer were like, yeah, that you misspelled fired. We didn't leave.
Oh, Christ.
Yeah, so now both people that were in charge of the project are gone / fired.
Speaking of another director that left, Halo Infinite lost another director.
Oh, God.
But one of the veteran designers for the previous Halo games from Bungie went to 343, and now he's current leading director on the project.
Okay.
So Infinite's still coming out next year, but now they have one of the Halo vets on board as creative director.
Also, presumably coming out next year, because they released the teaser, is God of War 5. Which oh.
I've seen a lot of people freaking out recently, because on Twitch, if you type in Bloodborne, right below that, it says Bloodborne 2. So, I guess depending on how well Demon's Souls ends up doing when the PS5 launches with that remake, I think we could be seeing a Bloodborne 2. It might not be for a long while, though, because I know FromSoft is still working on Elden Ring, and they haven't said shit about that game in 2 years. Because they released that teaser at, I think it was E3 or TGS back in 2018, and everyone got super pumped because they're like, holy shit, FromSoft is making a new game. Oh, that's awesome. And it's called Elden Ring. Oh, that's so cool. What's it going to be about? And then we haven't heard shit for 2 years.
Same level as the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser we got like 2 years.
That was like, what, 3 years ago?
2 or 3, yeah. 2 or 3, yeah. And
well, now Bethesda's owned by Microsoft. So.
Yeah, $7 billion. Jesus.
I mean, look, Bethesda's a big company.
I mean, they are, and they have very good games, and then it was, oh, well, is Elder Scrolls 6 going to still be cross-platform? Is it going to be exclusive? And then I guess Microsoft said Elder Scrolls 6 will be cross-platform.
I think Microsoft just gets first dibs.
Well, they said it'll be cross-platform, but every game after that will be exclusive. And then it sounds like they're doubling back on that. They're like, yeah, we might make it exclusive. It's like, I'm not going to get a fucking Xbox One S Super Commando Assault for one game.
I mean, look, the way I've seen it these days, especially with the Series X versus PS5 debate, is that Sony, like, nobody can deny Sony has better exclusives than Microsoft does, because at least Sony knows what to do with their exclusives, while Microsoft has been kind of spinning its wheels trying to figure out how to make more Gears of War titles and Forza and Halo, because that's pretty much all they have. But instead, their big way of going about changing that is by just buying up every third-party company they can get to make more exclusives for themselves. So, like, now they own Rare. They've owned Rare since the 360, or hell, even before then. But they own Rare. They own Ninja Theory. So any Ninja Theory games that come out in the future are Xbox exclusive. I think Hellblade 2 is still Xbox exclusive. Like, they own those. They now own Bethesda and ZeniMax and Obsidian.
Oh, here we go.
Is that every company Microsoft owns?
No, it's Tom Holland took to Instagram on Sunday, October 25th,
Uncharted,
to let fans know that he has landed in Atlanta, Georgia, and is on his way to begin work on the third Spider-Man film.
Yep. Jacob Batalon, who plays Ned, also went through a massive weight loss change recently.
Nice!
Like, he looks super different. And, good for him.
Yeah.
Like, I have a feeling they're going to be leading into Ned becoming Hobgoblin with that, though. Because he does become Hobgoblin in the comics. So, like, I'm not excited to see that just yet, but, like, I think that's what it's leading towards. But yeah, also, speaking of Tom Holland, fucking Uncharted.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the picture of him as Nate?
I did not, no.
He looks good. Like, a lot of people are really pissed because they're like, oh, why didn't you get fucking,
whoever insert...
What's his fucking face? Nathan Fillion. Like, why didn't you get Nathan Fillion to play Nate? And it's like, well, if you guys actually, like, looked into it a bit, you'd see that this is following a young Nathan Drake. Like, he's younger than he was in Uncharted 1.
Yeah.
And he was in his 30s in Uncharted 1.
This is when he starts.
Yeah, this is like late teens, early 20s Nate. And as far as actors go who could play a young Nate, I think Tom Holland is a really good choice. And they do have Nolan North on set to give him pointers on how to properly portray Nate. So I think that's really good, and I'm really looking forward to it. What I'm not looking forward to is Mark Wahlberg as Sully. God fucking damn it!
What do you got against Wahlberg, man? Marky Mark.
A lot of movies I've seen Mark Wahlberg in have been what I would call not good or downright terrible. Like the last 2 Transformers movies and The Happening.
The Happening was awful.
Pain and Gain, though, the one that he co-starred in with The Rock, I love Pain and Gain. That's a good movie. But like, I don't really have anything against Mark Wahlberg. I just don't think he can properly portray a gruff character like Sully. He doesn't have the voice or like the look for it. Even though he did grow out his mustache for it. I don't think he can accomplish it.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, well, that's if the movie doesn't get delayed again, because they've been trying to make that movie for like 8 fucking years. I think it's been in development hell only slightly longer than Matt Reeves' Batman movie, which got delayed to April 2021. Or not 2021, 2022. Fuck! Yeah, it got delayed.
Damn it!
Yep, that got delayed. Zack Snyder's Justice League is now a 4-part miniseries on HBO Max, and an hour long each, which is, I think, pretty good, because honestly, even though it's streaming, I don't think I could willingly sit through a 4-hour movie. Sitting through a 3-hour movie is a bit of a chore for me sometimes, but like, any longer than that, and I'm like, no, fuck this, I'm out. So, being able to watch it in digestible, hour-long chunks might make the movie even better. It could make the movie just as bad, because let's be honest here, Zack Snyder hasn't exactly made a lot of good movies.
Alrighty. In the most unsurprising news, a Joker sequel is officially in the works. Although...
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. Oh, Dune got fucking delayed.
Dune?
Dune. Denis Villeneuve's adaptation of Dune. Yeah, that got delayed. And I was so excited because that was supposed to come out in December. Like, it was supposed to come out later next month. And now it's not coming out until, like, God, I think summer of next year.
Damn.
Maybe winter?
Joker only cost $60 million to make, and it's made $1 billion a long time ago.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, it was a really good movie. That's always the fun thing, is when you look at like a movie that you think had like a lot of budget that ended up not having a lot of budget, and then it just made fucking bank. Like Deadpool. I think Deadpool also had $60 million in its budget, and it made like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, they were making, it was a joke, and it's like Christian Bale in The Dark Knight, and it's like he's wearing a $230,000 watch that nobody would fucking pay attention to, and then it cuts to Deadpool wearing the Adventure Time watch.
Like, there's so many movies that were supposed to come out this year, but because of this fucking pandemic, we won't be able to see, because they're either just...
And now there's like states shutting down again, and
yeah, a lot of states are shutting down again. We're probably going to get another wave of the virus coming through eventually.
Europe is shutting down again.
With the election,
hard.
with the final voting day being,
A
as
few
of
days
recording,
ago.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow's election day.
People can still vote on election day.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
yeah, as of recording this on November 2nd, tomorrow is election day. And a lot of people are really tense about this election.
Like, both sides are already...
Either way, we're probably going to see a second civil war before too long.
You know, that's the thing. I have a friend, Connor. He lives in Australia. Funny guy. And he said, what, you know, people from all over the world watch America's election because you guys are kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah,
And he
people
goes,
all over the world are getting involved
and
in
he
this.
said, you watching your guys' election, including the last one, like your last few, is like watching a fiery car crash. Like, it's awful, but you can't look away.
Yeah, and like every election, every election from 2012 onwards, which, look, my life hasn't been personally affected by any of our presidential candidates that we've had since I was fucking born.
Not mine either, really.
So, like, I don't have much of a say in it, but watching the elections between 2012 and now, it's like, the 2012 re-election of Barack Obama was like a fiery car crash because of how horrible that whole race was. And then 2016, that
Trump versus Hillary.
That small fire ended up, like, imploding a little bit. And you just got, like, this nice big, like, poof of fire. And then it just got fucking worse, and the fire department hasn't shown up yet. And now all you get with the 2020 race is the smoking ruins of it, with the potential chance that it's just going to blow the fuck up and kill a ton of people.
Yeah.
And it's
because
you wonder why people think we're the laughing stock of the world.
we are.
Yeah.
We fucking are.
We are.
Like,
We're not nearly as progressive as most other countries in Europe, let alone Asia.
You know,
with anything.
It's funny because I love seeing those threads on the internets.
Yeah.
And I don't know what political party these people belong to, but they were just like, America's number one, we got freedom. And he turned out to be French, but he spoke perfect English. He's like, you do know that most countries have freedom, right? Like, you're not the only one.
In fact, they have better freedoms than we do.
And he's like, oh yeah, where the fuck you from? He's like, I am from France. And he's like,
France is looking like a GTA Online server right now, though.
He's like, oh yeah, what makes you guys fucking better than us? He's like, well, one, we invented democracy. Two, we give mothers a year of maternity leave and we pay them 75% of their annual salary for that time.
When people in charge overreach their power, they tend to behead them.
Yeah.
Look, I am all for creating a second American Revolution, where we just behead the bourgeoisie. Fuck it. I will be the modern day Robespierre and just fucking start beheading rich people left and right.
Somebody was like, that popular hashtag right now, it's like, eat the rich or something?
Yeah.
So it was like, no, literally, eat the rich. I'm talking seasonings. I'm talking hot sauce. I want to eat Mitch McConnell's dried out jerky fucking face with some sweet baby rays.
Well, the only ones I wouldn't eat are the Kardashians, because there's just too much plastic to kind of like remove first.
Yeah.
It's like trying to unwrap a Thanksgiving turkey. You don't have a knife to cut the netting with.
That's true. If you could talk to any celebrity, who would it be? Kanye West, man. I could be like, dude, your wife's got some fat fucking pooper cheeks, bro.
Oh my god, I never want to hear you say that again.
Fat fucking pooper cheeks.
That's foul. Oh, that's so foul. Fuck. So I was watching The Mummy Returns the other day, right? Fuck, bud. I just found out. Fuck, bud. I just found out it was my boss's wedding video. Man, his wife's older than my. Man, fuck you for talking about fucking older women. Didn't you fucking cougar once? Man, fuck a cougar. Your wife's a whore as mountain like. So that bitch that great, she fucking died.
I love that guy.
Oh my god.
I told your wife Dr. H, she fucking died.
How does it feel to fuck a sarcophagus? Don't lie, I better tuna canoe smells like the Great Depression.
My boss let out a proper fucking hand cheek blast. I was like, oh, you're trying to push the condom out? You didn't like that.
Oh, fucking Christ. Oh, I haven't laughed that hard in a hot minute. Oh my god. Oh, fuck. Man, I'm firmly ready for the second Civil War to happen, regardless of who wins this election.
Well,
because it will happen.
Well, that's the thing. It won't. It's not like South versus North. It would be like
political ideologies battling each other across the entire country.
Yeah.
This isn't an East versus West thing. This isn't a North versus South thing. This is an everybody's against everybody thing.
Yeah. It's I see those memes where it's like me looting my buddy's corpse after he got clapped on the first night of the Boogaloo.
Shall not be infringed, fed boy. Oh man, I saw a good one the other day that was like when I'm walking around in Portland and I had to loot my friend's corpse because she had the last can of chicken noodle soup in her knapsack or something. I have a playlist on my Spotify that I titled "In Case of Civil War II, Break Glass," and it's just loaded to the gills with fucking like I got some like Rage Against the Machine, Drowning Pool, System of a Down. I got some Limp Bizkit in there.
Oh fuck yeah!
Marilyn Manson, Disturbed. Like I have all these. Oh yeah, Mr. Highway's Thinking About the End by Did Remember.
I would have
just for that breakdown. Like disrespect your surroundings. Like,
oh my god,
I have that.
So there's a song my cousin showed me.
I also renamed my sex playlist.
Hey baby, you have an asshole licked
by a fat man in an overcoat.
There's a song my cousin showed me called "Bipolar" by Abyssal Walker.
Oh, I know about Abyssal Walker.
And it's just like really sludgy, growly death metal.
Yeah.
But right in the middle of their breakdown, the song completely stops, and it's that fucking kid. When will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences? And the song picks back up.
That's awesome.
It is the best fucking thing I have ever seen.
I'm gonna join the front lines just so I can blast Oakley Dokley out of my fucking speakers.
Oh, a little spritzer just as loud as it could fucking go.
Oh, actually, I created a new playlist the other night full of like, because I've kind of gotten into like a big like alt rock indie kick recently, like a lot of like modern alt rock. And I think it's probably the best title I've ever made for a playlist. It's called Alternative Living for a Depressed 20-something. And I fucking... No, like, here's the thing. That's why I don't subscribe to the two-party ideology. I'm a strict libertarian. You can actually take this quiz online that showcases where your political compass lies on the authoritative or libertarian left or right.
Mm-hmm.
And when I took it, it said I was more libertarian left-leaning. So, like, it makes a lot of sense. I do agree with a lot more of the, like, policies and ideologies of the left wing and, like, some of them are their ideas of how to make society better. But I do believe that they also need some work.
Yeah, neither of the parties is perfect.
And it's part of why George Washington would be rolling in his fucking grave right now if he saw this.
That's so funny. I think it was Daniel Tosh. And
Holy fuckers, this would happen if you made a two-party system.
They're like, this isn't what the Founding Fathers would have wanted. He's like, the Founding Fathers were a bunch of racist old men who believed that if you were black, you weren't a person. Shut the fuck up.
That's true.
They wrote the Second Amendment when guns shot one bullet a day.
that is true. But I do believe we did go wrong by creating a two-party ideology.
We did.
Instead of sticking with a one-party. Because, like, otherwise, you just have candidates vying for their sense of what they believe is right or wrong, whether it's left-leaning or right-wing leaning.
Yeah.
And instead of being in a political camp of our side is better than your side, and it's just a dick measuring contest to see who's a worse human being.
Yeah. Well, that's why when I'm running for president, it's...
So I'm going to be your VP, right? I'm going to be your VP, right?
I have not yet chosen. If I get the nomination, I'll. But
hell yeah.
when I run for prez, it's not going to be like are you a are you a Democrat or Republican? It's like, I don't belong to a political party. I'm independent, I guess, is the official title.
It's the official term these days, because the last time a third-party candidate won the presidency was Teddy Roosevelt, and he was diehard libertarian.
Yeah.
However, if you say you're a libertarian these days, it's like a kiss of death for your social life, because people don't understand how you can live third-party in a two-party system. Yeah. And it's like, well...
Or if you're like... I have a lot of socialist tendencies, and they're like, oh, well, like, they automatically attribute socialism to really bad things. Like, you do know that the last time we had...
attribute it to communism, too.
Yeah, they do, and it's like, you do know that the last time we had a socialist president, we literally had to write a rule saying you couldn't be president more than twice because he kept getting elected.
Yeah.
FDR, who was elected 4 times.
Well, that was also in a time of war, so, like...
Yes, but I mean...
Like, that is an exception. It was a time of war when a lot of people were more concerned about, still having a country to be able to come home to after the battle was done, instead of just being like, oh, we should elect a new president. So, like, in an exception like that makes sense.
Yeah.
But otherwise, two-party term limit, or, like, 2 term limits are... They should be mandatory for all political parties, not even just the president. I believe we should cycle through new senators every term. Just that way we can get newer, fresher ideas.
I've always kind of had a problem with, if you're nominated to the Supreme Court, it's a lifetime position. Like, you're on the Supreme Court as long as you're alive, or if you willingly give it up.
Yeah, I think that does become a bit of a problem, because unless you're still currently kept up in the political quagmire that is our country, like, you're not going to be able to form proper decisions on passing new laws and codes and rules, because you're going to be stuck in your old way of living, in your old thought process, and that's not going to be beneficial to anybody.
Well, that's why I'm kind of worried about tomorrow. My kind of girlfriend, she sent me talk later, but she's kind of my kind of sort of girlfriend. She sent me eating all my Reese's, and then I'm buying more. Got to stock up for the election riots.
God, I work in a grocery store. I can't imagine what it's going to be like for the next couple of weeks, with people freaking out about how the election's going to go.
Half the country is going to be pissed no matter who wins. So it's...
You know what's fucking hilarious? I actually had this argument the other day that, like... You know, there's that common misconception that everyone living in the South, regardless of where you came from, is just a horrible right-wing racist. I've met more racist old fucks living up here in rural fucking Vermont than I ever did living in the South. And I lived in the South for a good fucking decade.
Obviously racism doesn't have a geographical location.
No, it exists everywhere.
But
like, there is that common misconception that people think, oh, you're from the South? Ew. Like because they either think you're diehard Republican, diehard racist, or both.
Or both.
Or worse.
And you're probably a KKK member.
Yeah. Or a neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you live in Savannah, Georgia, then you're both. Look, I will say this as many times as I have to. If you are a person of color, or, or you're dating a person of color or anything like that, you probably shouldn't go to Savannah. It's a beautiful beach, and it's a really lovely little town, but only if you're white. Or if you're Hispanic that can pass for white. Like, you're one of those pale Hispanics.
You're one of them faux whites.
If you're one of those people, nobody will bat an eye, and everyone will be sweet as fucking peach tea. And it's a lovely little town, and it's a great little beachfront. Unless you're a person of color.
Unless.
Unless. And that's the biggest cry and shame, because honestly there aren't a lot of good beaches down south unless you want to willingly go to Florida and go to Miami. Specifically, because there are no other good beachfronts in Florida except Miami. But a lot of people when I moved up here automatically assumed I was one of those racist redneck Southerners just because I came from Georgia. because people don't know what that's like up here. But nah, if you think about it, I mean, like Greg said, there's racists everywhere. Racism's a problem everywhere. If you really want a big problem with racism in the South, you should probably go to Alabama.
Alabama or Mississippi?
Alabama, Mississippi, North Carolina, surprisingly. South Carolina, not so much. But North Carolina, yeah, it's a little fucked. Louisiana, certain parts of Louisiana.
Kind of.
Like, if you go to New Orleans or Baton Rouge, it's not so prevalent just because there is a very heavy, like, Cajun and black population there.
I saw a fucking thing.
But even then.
I saw a projection. They think that Texas is going to vote blue this year, and I just don't. I don't see it. They're like,
oh my god!
Like,
I mean, Austin's a very liberal city.
It is, but they're like, yeah, we've tested a lot of counties, and there's a chance that Texas could vote blue this year. I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah, fucking doubt that. Where did you go?
Yeah, if they're voting blue, so is Mississippi.
You can't say you tested a few counties if those counties exist within cities like Houston or Dallas.
Yeah.
Or fucking San Antonio or Austin or like any of those cities, because there's a lot of counties in those cities. And there's a lot of counties outside of those cities.
Yeah.
The only one you'd be able to find that would willingly vote blue is any county outside of Austin.
Yeah.
Because, like, surprisingly liberal capital for, like, the most southern state possible.
Oh, God.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it makes it even funnier when you realize that there's, like, a lot of people out in, like, the Midwest and especially the Pacific Northwest that are Republican.
Yeah.
When you live borderline with Oregon and California and Arizona.
Well, we live in Vermont, which is sandwiched between Maine and New Hampshire, which fairly regularly are red states.
Yeah, that's true. I think Vermont's becoming a red state too.
Vermont is disgustingly blue, or it has been for a very long time.
I think our governor's Republican.
We have a Republican governor, Phil Scott.
Yep.
But he's
one of those good Republicans. He's like Mitt Romney. He's one of those good Republicans. They're a rare fucking breed, but they exist.
You said it, not me. He said that, not me. I think regardless of political affiliation, unless you're literally a fucking Nazi, like, there's good people, you know?
You know what makes it fun? I saw a tweet the other day that said that, like, the person didn't understand how somebody could vote blue when being a Democrat means you're politically aligned with fascist groups like Antifa. And I had to think about the mental gymnastics it took to be able to call a group literally labeled as anti-fascist fascist.
Yeah. How
do you accomplish that?
Yeah.
How does that work?
Dude, it's like
I have maybe 3 brain cells just kind of dotting around in my fucking head, and even I can tell that a group called Antifa is probably not fascist.
Anti-fascist.
Oh man, that's super fascist.
Wait, what? We're the vegans of the world. We only eat meat. Wait, what?
Yes, we exist.
Yes, I'm vegan. Yes, I eat meat. Yeah, we exist. What? Yes, I'm a virgin. Yeah, yes, I've had sex. We exist.
Oh. That actually does have some basis in a discussion, just because, like, people believe that a woman's virginity is tied to the breaking of their hymen.
Yeah.
But the problem is that vaginas are built differently for every woman everywhere.
Dude, there's people who've had their hymen broken, like, fucking biking. Like,
yes. Like, and there's some women who've never had their hymen broken. So, like, the concept of virginity is just kind of like a abstract concept. It's not meant to be diehard fact, no matter what the Bible Belt of America tells you.
Yeah,
fucking Kansas and Utah and Wyoming.
Utah doesn't exist. Utah's a myth.
Wait, it's all Ohio? It always
has been. Good news, student. our states North and South Dakota have finally resolved all their differences
and joined together to create one unified
Dakota. Family, Fairly Odd Parents, shout out.
But yeah, fucking Utah doesn't exist. Nobody lives in Wyoming.
Fuck no. If you live in Wyoming...
Have you seen those videos of the people driving down Wyoming and the wind's like blowing over cars?
No.
Oh my god.
If you live in Wyoming, what happened? Like,
what did you do to punish yourself?
Were you trying to
live in Wyoming?
Were you trying to get somewhere better and you broke down?
You know who lives in Wyoming? Fucking diehard equestrians, rich people, and people who moved there as kids and were trapped. Because you can't escape Wyoming unless you have money.
I remember...
just like you can't escape California unless you have money.
When Mom and Dave drove Dave from Colorado to here, they had to go through part of the Midwest.
Oh.
And I'm like, what was it like? She goes, it's just fucking corn and wheat as far as the eyes can see. It's
corn and Bible thumpers and Mormons.
She said it's 10 miles of corn, one house. 10 miles of wheat, one house.
Look, it's America's heartland for a reason.
I mean, yeah.
It's where all the farmers live.
I mean, yeah, we need those people to grow that food. I'm not dogging them for that, but just like, goddamn.
City girls use sex toys, country girls make do. Oh man, I could trash our fucking country all day long.
Oh, me too.
Without remorse. Like, it's some of the funnest shit.
Like, I know, I was good friends with your father before his passing, who was a veteran. I'm friends with a fellow named George, who's a 2-tour veteran of Afghanistan. I'm friends with veterans, and those veterans agree with me. Like, this place sucks.
Oh yeah, this country sucks, and it's not worth dying for unless you have a die-hard sense of patriotism. Most people join the military just because it's decent money and they didn't have any other option.
Yeah,
that was pretty much why my dad joined the military, was because he needed to support his family and working at Disney World wasn't cutting it. So what did he do? He joined the military.
Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't one of those kids that moved across the country every year. Instead, we got stationed in Georgia and just stayed there for 7 years before my dad got discharged.
Yeah.
So, I got to make some really good friends who I don't remember at all.
Yeah, after Supreme Justice Ruth Bader died, it took them 38 days to elect a new Supreme Justice because it fit their scheme. How's everybody living off that $1,200 they sent you 5 months ago?
Oh, you mean the one they didn't send me at all?
Oh, shit.
I didn't get a $1,200
wow.
surplus check. I didn't get that shit.
Well, I paid
my taxes. I didn't get that shit.
I paid mine. I got mine 5 months ago, and that shit went away in a hurry.
Oh, man. Fucking... Hell, even just here in the Northeast alone, we could probably sum up every state in one sentence as to what's in it and why it kind of sucks. Maine. Maine has Stephen King, and that's not a point to why it sucks. Stephen King is awesome.
Stephen King is awesome.
But
it has wood and lobster.
Yeah, Maine has Stephen King and really good lobster, and that's it. Connecticut is just all urban jungle.
Sewage. It's
a sewage.
We hate Connecticut.
Fuck Connecticut. One of my close friends from work is from Connecticut, and he's actually moving back down there soon. So
we call you Connecticut.
I don't hate him because he's actually a really chill dude. But my God, Connecticut can die in a hole.
I would nuke Connecticut if I could.
New Jersey, one of the only states where incest is still legal.
So I drove through New Jersey with my kind of sort of girlfriend on the way to Philadelphia, and we had to pay $5 to get across both tolls on each side of the state, and I want my $5 back. I think it was natural gas refineries. It was car dealerships, and that was it. That was the whole state.
Cloudy skies and smog as far as the eye can see.
Cloudy skies, smog, car dealerships, and natural gas refineries.
Jersey sucks.
Fuck New Jersey.
Oh my God. We didn't... When I went down to New York 2 years ago for my birthday, my ex and I didn't drive through Jersey, but we did drive through part of Connecticut, and the only thing we saw for like the hour we ended up driving through Connecticut was just highway.
Yeah.
We were just on the highway the entire time, and the most unique thing we saw about that state was a car chase where one dude was gunning it down the opposite lane at like 100 miles an hour, and 2 seconds later we saw like 8 cop cars going at the same speed, just barreling towards this fucker.
Hell yeah.
And we were like, what the hell did you do to get 8 cars to fucking jump you like that?
Drive 100 miles an hour down the opposite lane.
But like, yeah, Connecticut's just all sewage. Jersey's incest and smog.
Incest and smog.
Yeah, I found that out the other day that a lot of people make the joke about Alabama being a very incestuous state. Here's the thing. Incest exists everywhere. You know where it's illegal? Alabama. You know where it's not illegal? Jersey. Fucking Jersey.
Yeah.
And like...
The town of New Jersey, by the way.
Like... And, like, right above that, you've got New York. What does New York have? It has New York City.
Yep, that's about it.
New York City, and it has Schenectady, which I can't ever pronounce for the life of me. Syracuse is pretty nice. Like, other than that, doesn't have much. Massachusetts has...
Boston
and Martha's Vineyard.
Yep.
That's about it. Nobody... Oh, and Salem.
Yeah.
But that's only really for Halloween.
Boston... Like, here's the
like,
thing.
Who the fuck just goes, you know what? I think I'm going to take a drive down to Worcester.
You know, here's
I'm
the
just
thing.
going to go on a whim and just go to fucking Worcester.
Here's the thing. I don't hate Massachusetts because we're an hour and a half from Boston from where we live.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Fuck the drivers, though.
Oh, yeah, Massachusetts is like
Up
the
here,
worst drivers in this fucking state.
I'd argue Connecticut's worse, but stop and yield signs up here are not suggestions.
Yeah. Honestly, no. You know what? I think the two worst are Connecticut and New York, and then Massachusetts is right under that.
Right under that?
Right under. Fucking, I almost completely forgot about Rhode Island.
Yeah. That's their thing. People are like, oh yeah, you exist.
Crab cakes exist, and the beach lines are really nice, but you can drive through that whole state in literally like an hour and a half. It is 50 miles across. That is a state.
Yeah.
It's 50 miles for me to get from here to fucking West Leb.
Yeah, my town is 40-something square miles.
Yeah.
That's my town.
Yeah. And that's a fucking state.
Yeah.
You go down to Rhode Island to go to Providence or to go to the beach, and that's it, because nobody gives a shit about the rest of Rhode Island.
Yeah. New Hampshire's
just slightly more affluent Vermont.
Yeah.
We are two sides of the same coin. Vermont's the poor side. I can say that because I work in a grocery store job, and half my monthly pay goes into paying for this apartment. Ugh. So, like, I have a right to say that.
Well, Vermont has way higher state taxes.
That is true.
But New Hampshire has way higher pay taxes, I think.
Yeah.
So it technically evens out, but yeah, Vermont and New Hampshire, they're a lot alike. A lot alike.
Yeah.
In that there ain't dick here.
There really isn't. Like,
we have snow and maple syrup. That's about
Vermont
it.
has one thing going for it that I kind of feel is a good gloating point, is that we are the only state capital in the U.S. without a McDonald's.
That's where we draw the fucking line.
Like, actually, it's really funny seeing the disconnect from southern Vermont and northern Vermont, because when you go to southern Vermont, it's a lot of rural areas, there's some small farms, a lot of mom and pop stores, a lot of drugs.
I saw a funny
lot of drugs.
I follow a page called the Vermont Department of Memes, and it shows a guy pulling up. I think it was from Silent Hill, and it shows him pulling up, and it's a sign that says "Welcome to Rutland," and then it shows him putting it in reverse and just backing out.
Rutland is Silent Hill,
dude. Rutland. If you're wondering what's wrong with Rutland, heroin capital of the state.
Oh yeah, it's really bad in Rutland. Fuck, man.
Yeah, it's
like
Shorebon.
Like you think Springfield's bad? Fuck. Springfield ain't got shit on Rutland.
And then there's.
But like you go further up north through Vermont, like the closer you get to Canada, that's where a lot of like the state colleges are. Mm-hmm. It's where a lot of the rich people tend to live.
Yep.
And you can tell because I went through a drive up to Johnson at one point, and I saw so many really nice houses that up here would sell for like 500 to 800 grand, give or take. And that's just for a small one. You know how much those houses would cost if they were in Georgia? $230 and some change.
Oh my lord!
Because Georgia's real estate game is so on point.
They're like, look, we know we suck, but the houses are cheap.
Well, part of the problem with Georgia is also that they have one of the lowest minimum wages of the U.S.
Yeah.
But if you can find a really good job that pays super well, like I did some apartment searching in Georgia at one point because I wanted to move back down there for like a long time, and I found a really nice apartment in downtown Atlanta in a really, really big, like, skyscraper-sized apartment complex. Completely furnished, modern interior. It looked gorgeous. And it was $575 a month. No extra fees for pets.
Damn.
Like, you didn't have to pay extra to have a parking space in their garage. The laundry units were free. They had a full gym down there. Like, that's in downtown Atlanta.
Yeah. Apartments up here can range from
$875. That's what I pay for this apartment.
Yeah, the cheapest one I've seen was $7. Because my kind of sort of girlfriend, hers is $7, but she has like awesome landlords. There's apartments up here that go for like 11, 1200, and it's like
there is a really nice apartment a little further down the road from where I live, near this place that's called the Scrapbook Nook. And the house right next to that is actually 2 apartments. Mm-hmm. And the second apartment is $1,300 a month for 3 bedrooms.
I mean,
which is pretty good for 3 bedrooms with like an indoor washer dryer unit and like all that stuff. And like if I had the money to be able to afford living in that apartment by myself, you bet your ass I would in a heartbeat, because that'd be really nice.
Yeah.
But I work a grocery store job where I barely eke out like $1,700 a month.
Whoa.
And half of that goes into paying my rent here.
Damn.
Yeah. I've gotten really frugal about my spending, so I don't spend nearly as much as I used to on shit I don't need, like comic books and video games. And I've actually started cooking a lot more, so I end up having meals for like the next couple of days, so I end up spending less money there as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice. I feel like a fucking adult.
Adulting.
I'm in my 20s. I should be going out every night, getting hammered and taking them chicks from the bar or something.
Yeah, fucking college girls and giving them a fake name and... No, of course I love you. You know, but no, we're not doing that.
What are we, bitch?
When
bitch,
she says...
I'm too emotionally dead inside to give you a proper answer to that.
When she says, what are we, after only 3 years? Well, slow down there, buckaroo.
See, I can't even make the joke about calling somebody an Uber, because guess what doesn't exist up here? Fucking Uber!
Yeah.
We have a taxi service still. We have a taxi service.
That I've seen like 3 times in my 28 years on this planet.
Yeah, we have a taxi service, but nobody in this area, because of how sketchy certain places look, especially out further into the woods, nobody wants to be an Uber or a Lyft driver or anything like that, because it's fucking scary.
Yeah.
Like, Vermont at night is kind of terrifying.
Dude, I've lived in Vermont for 28 years. Same house, same everything. But, like, you hear noise... Like, I live in the woods. Like, the woods.
You know what that is, right? It's probably skinwalkers.
Yeah, right. And it's like you hear noises out there and you don't know what they are. You don't want to know what they are. Because I remember one time, when I was younger, our trash can was full and my dad said, hey, bud, can you just bring it to the end of the driveway? We kind of have a long driveway.
Right.
It's pitch black out. And so I'm like...
Yeah, it's like that scene in SpongeBob where he like runs out from the Krusty Krab, tosses it in, and then runs back.
Piece of cake. Yeah, it was like that. Like,
that's why I don't want to live in the woods up here, because like I know things like Wendigos and skinwalkers don't exist, but like, what if?
Well, some people would argue they do, especially in like the Southwest.
Yeah. a lot of people down in like Arizona and New Mexico have songs
Yeah.
about skinwalkers, and it's like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
I don't like thinking about that. And like, I get sketched out at weird noises in the middle of the night when I'm home alone because I'm just like, fuck's making that noise?
Yeah.
What is that? And I don't have a proper weapon to defend myself because I have like a replica samurai sword that isn't sharpened. I don't have any guns, and the closest thing I have is I bought 2 knives recently, and they're not really that sharp.
Jesus Christ.
So like, I have nothing. I can't defend myself with shit.
Oh, I'm worried when I'm like taking a shower. It's like, I'll fight naked.
I'll beat you. I ain't afraid to kill a man buck naked.
They miss me in jail. I ain't scared to go back.
Oh, fuck. Oh, you know what? Speaking of horror stuff recently, I decided last week when I was on vacation, I decided, I think on like Thursday, I just sat down and went, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to watch the new It movies. I'm going to watch both of them back to back. 5 hours.
There you go.
5 hours of film. Really entertaining films, though. Really, really fun movies and really good adaptations of the book. Like, all the actors portraying the characters did a fantastic job.
I haven't
Bill
seen
Skarsgård as Pennywise.
I haven't seen either of the movies. I mean, I've seen the Georgie scene because everybody's seen the Georgie scene. But
That's not even the best scene in either movie. Like, the Georgie scene is iconic just because it's the scene that starts everything off. But like in It Chapter 2, there's a scene where Bill like runs to a funhouse because there's this little kid character that like shows up throughout a good chunk of the movie, like when all the losers meet back up at the Chinese place. Like he's there, and when Bill's getting his little piece of history or whatever to burn for the ritual of Chud, you know, like he's there too, and everyone's kind of skeeved out by him. But when they're all at the hotel, the kid's skateboard like comes down the staircase, and to Bill, that's the instant thought of, oh fuck, that kid's in danger. So he runs to the carnival at the other end of town and makes it into this like mirror maze in a fun house where he sees the kid on the opposite end of a mirror.
yeah,
And then right next to that is Pennywise.
and he starts headbutting the mirror to get to the kid.
Oh, yeah, it's such a good scene because it's so quiet, tense, and like I love this one image just before the final headbutt where it flashes really quick and you see Pennywise smiling and he's got all of his crooked teeth and the smile goes up to like his eyes.
Yeah.
It's fucked up, and then he bashes it in, devours the kid, and then disappears. That is my favorite scene in both movies.
And then at the end, they literally just roast him to death.
Yeah.
You a pussy! I scare you!
There's
you
actually
a mimic!
Bill Hader was a really good choice for the grown-up Richie. I thought he was great in the second movie.
Yeah.
And there's a really good part where he tries to get Pennywise's attention and like tries to like psych him out so that way everyone else can run away. And he's about to attack Pennywise, and Pennywise flashes his deadlights, and Richie just goes like slack. Like he's just like,
Yeah.
like his eyes roll to the back of his head, and like he stops mid-sentence and his arms are just swaying at his sides because he's just stopped dead.
Yeah.
And it's not much of a moment, but the way it's shot, the way it's acted, the sound design for the deadlights like taking him, it's fucking cool.
I haven't seen the movies, but I've only seen two. Well, I've seen the funhouse scene. I've seen
The Georgie scene.
The Georgie scene, and I saw the scene where, well, the scene where they roast him, obviously. Yeah. And then there's the. When the woman kind of sort of finds out about Pennywise's origins.
Oh yeah,
and
the old lady.
The naked old ladies in the background.
That's a good scene.
But
there's also a similarly good scene in chapter 1 where Ben is in the library and he's like figuring out these like past disappearances in Derry, and every once in a while it'll cut to a shot of him looking through the book. And there's a librarian in the background. Mm-hmm. The second time it cuts back to that shot, the librarian turns around and looks at him with a smile on her face. And then each time it cuts back, it gets closer to Ben's face as the old lady becomes more prominent in frame. And then she just disappears.
Mm. Wow. And then the slideshow machine starts speeding up.
That one's good too. There's a lot of...
I feel really like if I saw both movies, I'd like them. But
they are very good movies. The problem is you have to invest 5 hours of your life into watching them back to back, like I did, because I have
Does he turn into a giant fucking spider at the end?
A little bit, actually. Like he becomes like a giant, not like an actual spider, but like he has the big Pennywise head and the Pennywise body, but like he grows additional like spider limbs as he's like crawling around trying to like kill them, and he's gigantic too.
I can you can tell that when Steven wrote it, he was railing cocaine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's a fucking turtle.
But like, there's some really good behind the scenes bits that you can see for the movies, and a lot of the really funny ones are just Bill Skarsgård being himself in the Pennywise costume. Yeah. So he's like looking behind the camera and he's like, yeah, that's great. And I'm like, yeah. And like all the kids were terrified of him at first because he was kept away from them until their first encounter.
Until it was authentic.
Which was super cool. But the kid playing Georgie actually cried because he couldn't see Pennywise for a while.
Wow.
Like he wanted to see Pennywise, and when they told him that he couldn't until a certain scene, he was like, and I mean, fair, entirely fair. Also, the kid playing Georgie, fucking props. Kid actors are really hard to come by, and that kid was fucking great. He was so good.
Speaking of kid actors, there's a movie I really want to see that Shia LaBeouf actually wrote while he was in prison/rehab, Honey Boy.
Oh yeah, I heard about Honey Boy. I wanted to see that.
He wrote it basically about his life as a child actor, where like him and his shitbag father are sleeping in a crappy motel.
Yeah.
And his father's like abusive and he's using him for the money, and he's like...
See, I wanted to see that one, and I also kind of want to see Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, how do you think it feels that my son pays me? And he said, you wouldn't be here if I didn't pay you. I'm like, whoa.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I really want to see it.
Yeah, I heard Honey Boy was really good. I just haven't gotten a chance to really look into it, because every time I think about it, something else comes up, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch that, and then I just don't think about it. And it was the same for the longest time with when I saw like the first couple episodes of Man in the High Castle, because I thought that was a really interesting premise of alternate history where the Nazis win World War II and seeing that alternate America. And then I saw the first couple of episodes and I was like, wow, that's really good. I'm kind of interested in it. And I just stopped watching it. And I haven't picked it up since. And I actually finished the HBO Watchmen series. Like, I watched the whole thing. Oh, it was good. It was so good. Like, I didn't have a lot of expectations for Watchmen just because I'm kind of in the same boat with Alan Moore that Watchmen shouldn't be expanded upon as a story.
Yeah.
Because it's meant to be more of an introspection on superhero culture and superhero media and, like, why it's flawed.
Yeah.
But the Watchmen HBO series is really good as a successor to the comic. It's not even a sequel to the movie. It's a sequel to the comic. And, like, it deals with a lot of shit, like, it's been, like, 30 years since Ozymandias summoned the giant squid monster in Manhattan that ended up killing a fuck ton of people. There's constant rainstorms, but instead of rain, it's little squid monsters that just die on impact, and shit like that. The United States is an ultra liberal country where like TV shows have like a 5-minute warning on all the triggers that the show contains or the movie contains. Robert Redford is president of the United States. Police have to call in for dispatch to authorize the use of their guns before they can even pull them out of their cars.
Interesting.
And cops also have to wear partial face masks to conceal their identities so that way they can't be held accountable for anything that could have happened to them while in the field. And it's a super interesting look at how the country became what it was in the events of the original comic. To the point that there is a sect of the KKK called the 7th Cavalry that model themselves after Rorschach. Because Rorschach is a fucking terrible human being.
Yeah.
Rorschach's an awful human being.
Yeah, he's like an extremist, right-wing, when even the Nazis are like, dude, you're going a little far.
Yeah. And, like, that was always my favorite thing when people were seeing the trailers. And they're like, ew, why is a hate group, like, using Rorschach's name like that? It's like, motherfucker, did you even read the comic? Like, this obviously isn't based on the movie.
No.
What are you talking... Like, do you think the society in the movie would have idolized Dr. Manhattan knowing that in the movie it wasn't a giant telepathic squid, it was Dr. Manhattan that nuked a bunch of cities? No. They wouldn't idolize him like that in that society. They would have demonized him. But no, instead in the reality of the Watchmen TV series, there's phone booths that you can talk to Dr. Manhattan in from Mars.
Ooh.
Like you can like he has a little phone on Mars that he can talk to people with.
Wow.
Which is pretty dope. And there's a whole subplot about Ozymandias living in this pocket society on the moon, surrounded by clones that he created himself, which is kind of funny in a demented way. And he's just trying to find a way to escape it and like go back to Earth. Silk Spectre shows up, but not as Silk Spectre. She's actually this super grizzled, like jaded special agent who models herself a lot after her father now instead of her mother. So like her first introduction is calling Dr. Manhattan to try and tell him a joke. And every time she thinks of a joke, she can't finish it, so she starts a new one. Like, the world is just a joke to her now. Night Owl's in prison.
Jeez.
Like, it's a fucked up world.
Sounds
And
it.
Tom King's current Rorschach comic is in that same universe. It's actually a sequel to the HBO series.
Damn.
So you have Watchmen, which has a series of prequels. But Watchmen also has a sequel TV series, which in itself has a sequel comic. Or at least a tie-in comic of some kind. So, like, Watchmen's a much bigger universe now. I don't think it needs to be a much bigger universe, but it is. And so far, I haven't really been disappointed with what they've done with it. Except for Doomsday Clock. Because it was just weird. Oh, fuck. I'm not used to it being this dark this early.
I know.
I hate it.
It gets dark and then daylight savings, which is really daylight spendings at this time. So it gets dark at like 5.
I don't like it.
No, we did daylight savings for farmers, and there's 4 of them left, so I don't know why we still do it.
Yeah, right? But, oh, fuck. I think we've been... I think we can probably stop this here, yeah?
Sure.
Yeah? Unless you have any new little bits of news or anything to...
Nah, I'm a boring human. So...
fair enough. Alright.
I am a boring motherfucker, so...
Alright, so... having 3 months not doing this means I've spent a lot more time, like, reading things that have been coming out since comics have started circulating again. After being delayed for so long, and one of my new favorites that I absolutely loved reading, surprisingly, is an Archie comic.
I like Archie.
Archie's good.
It's a little basic at times.
Yeah. Archie's really good. Especially now since Mark Waid helped to reboot the entire franchise in 2015. But I was really excited to see his next projects after his soft reboot of the series with Archie 41, which I read like last year, and that was great. And then he was going to do another one called Archie 55. Like Archie 41 was more of a story of like how the Riverdale gang deals with World War II and like all that stuff. Archie ends up going to war actually and dies in World War II, which is fucked up. And then Archie 55 is another kind of take on that, where instead of being embroiled in the midst of World War II, Archie ends up becoming a successful musician that follows pretty much in the same vein of Elvis Presley. Like, a lot of Archie's story mirrors a lot of Elvis's story, except for the rampant drug use and dying on the toilet.
King died on the throne.
But it was really good. Like, it was kind of weird seeing some of the directions it took. Like, it started with Archie, Reggie, and Jughead in a band together, and then Archie became a solo act, and then he becomes a movie actor, and then he marries Veronica. Her dad's his manager. And he's only using him for money and all that stuff. And he ends up realizing that fame isn't all it's cracked up to be, and he kind of misses his old hometown roots and like where he came from. So he ends up just completely abandoning everybody in California except for Veronica, and they drive back to Riverdale by the end of the comic. And the whole thing is told from an interviewer's point of view as he's interviewing Archie's mom.
Wow.
Like, the entire book, I thought for most of the book that he was interviewing Veronica, and then maybe it was going to end with Archie dying again as he got old and fat and died on the toilet. Because I noticed it was an Elvis parallel the second he went solo. So I was like, okay, well, they're probably going to lead up to that, and it's going to be really sad and tragic or whatever. And then the next panel is Archie's mom, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, that's cool. So, yeah, I guess for this week, I mean, I'm gonna recommend Archie 55. But it also helps to get a good feel for what Mark Waid's writing for Archie really does. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recommend all of Mark Waid's Archie stuff. So I'm going to recommend the soft reboot he did for the series. I think that one's like 5 or 6 volumes. They're fast reads. They're really nice too. It's really, really good art, really good writing. And then Archie 41 after that, if you want a different take on Archie in a different time period. And then Archie 55 after that, if you are a fan of rock and roll or Elvis or just a fan of Archie. Like, they're all really good. I think he's doing a third one in a different time period. Don't quote me on that, because I don't actually know.
For my recommendation, you'll have to go to your local truck stop. And this week's recommendation is Dirt Pipe Fantasies 3.
God, it sounds so dirty. Oh.
It is.
Oh. God, I actually just reread Sex Criminals recently. like the first 5 volumes, because the 6th volume isn't coming out until later this month. And it's so funny, too. I thought, because the comic's been going on for 7 years, I thought that the final issue being called issue 69 was like literally like they've made 69 issues and that they're just gonna keep like doing issues. Nah, it's just called issue 69 because sex.
Yeah, there you go.
So the final volume is issues 26 through 30 and then 69.
There you go.
Sex Criminals is really good too. I would recommend that just because it's really funny and it's super unique and it offers a really good take on different sexual lifestyles, different ways of expressing sexuality and stuff like that. Like there's like people from all sorts of walks of life. The 2 main characters are people who were scorned by this banking megacorporation. The main villain runs the banking megacorporation. One of the characters is an orderly who takes care of his ailing mother. And when he enters the time-frozen sex world, essentially, it's through the form of a cum fairy.
Jeez.
A Japanese cum fairy that has tentacles under her skirt.
Of course.
So, there's an asexual woman who gets her pleasure from being an adrenaline junkie.
Okay.
Which is super unique because when she makes impact, like jumping off a building or something, she doesn't splat on the ground. It actually kind of bends the world as a cushion.
Okay.
And then she just kind of rises back up.
Huh.
Like, it's super unique shit like that. And it's really funny. Matt Fraction's an amazing writer. He did great work on Hawkeye. And Chip Zdarsky, another amazing writer. He did a great job on Howard the Duck and Jughead and Spider-Man at one point. And he's doing a great job on Daredevil so far. But he does the art for the book, and it's so fucking funny. It's great. But I think with that we're gonna sign off.
Alrighty.
Because I'm kind of hungry.
Fat man hungry.
Fat man hungry. All right. So until next time, which might be next week, might not be.
I'm game.
Yeah. But it depends on what days off I have next week.
When we decide to give a fuck again.
Yeah, right? Fucking... All right. So, until next time, this has been Talkin Shop.